Japan's coronavirus emergency declaration was a mistake. Hi, I'm Jason Kelly with the Kelly Letter, and I want to thank you and everybody else who emailed me asking if I was okay after this declaration went out. I'm perfectly fine, and in my opinion, Japan was and is perfectly fine, and I'd like to take you through my reasoning on this. The coronavirus pandemic broke out in China in early December. In January, Japan welcomed a record number of Chinese visitors ahead of the Chinese New Year. Record number. Not a lot, not more than usual, the absolute most that have ever been here in a January. Let's go to the figures. According to the JTB Tourism Research and Consulting Company, visitors from China in January were 924,000, which was up 23% from the previous year. Taiwan brought 461,000, up 19%, and visitors from Hong Kong numbered 219,000, up 42%. And this was a big jump from the previous year, and the main point was the highest figure in January in history. So there is simply no doubt that the coronavirus was unleashed on a massive scale in Japan. What followed after that? Did Japan have a national lockdown and go into an emergency mode? No. The kids were brought out of school, but Japan determined early on that people exhibiting symptoms were a minority and that it was safe to proceed with a limited testing program, and a fairly strict one too. A person had to demonstrate a fever for 4 days running before they could go in and have the test and get treatment if they needed it. Nobody was turned away from treatment, but there was not a massive rollout of testing like we saw in other areas. This came under some criticism, but it was defended by the policymakers in charge, and I thought defended well and on rational grounds. Let's go to one of my favorite quotes from that. This is from March 17th. The Health Ministry official Yasuyuki Sahara said at a news briefing, quote, "Just because we have testing capacity doesn't mean that we need to use that capacity fully. It isn't necessary to carry out tests on these people who are just simply worried." End quote. Indeed, and it looked like things were going just fine. Through Monday, so April 6th, the Monday of this week, these were the figures for Japan. Total cases of coronavirus nationwide, less than 4,000. Total fatalities from coronavirus nationwide, less than 100. Less than 100. What in the world got people's attention then? What it was 2 weekends back when the headline said, "Cases in Tokyo double," and nobody really dug into the numbers of what did they double from to. But if somebody had, they would have seen they went from the 20s to the 40s in Tokyo metro area, which has a population of 38 million people. We cannot emphasize enough how very small these numbers are and how very successful Japan's approach was over the previous 2 months after this broke out from China. So what happened then? That headline went out, and Japan did a poll, and respondents said at an 80% level, the government needs to do more, take more action. I believe it was a time for the Prime Minister to raise a fist in victory. Instead, he caved to this pressure. Instead of being a leader, he became a follower and of irrational hysteria from people watching what was going on in other countries. But we had our own figures here, and they were fine. Now, some critics said, no, Japan was just suppressing its numbers before because it wanted to protect interest in the Tokyo Olympics. And now that the Tokyo Olympics have been postponed, Japan feels free to throw open the door to data. First of all, I highly doubt this. But second of all, even if it's true, let's grant that Japan thought we'll do limited testing in order to keep the numbers down. It could not have hidden the number of deaths from coronavirus. Japan is not communist China. This is a democracy with a thriving free press. I guarantee you, if people were dying at a mass level in hospitals from the virus, it would have been all over Japanese media and all over world media instantly. But the death count remained under 100 through last Monday. That was the latest data into the meetings the Prime Minister and the other teams had with health experts who supposedly said we're going to lock it down. So, what are we going to see now? You've noticed it in other places. Previously, we had a low number of case counts. Now we're going to have a high number of case counts. Why? Because they're going to do more testing. Whereas a few days ago, you could go around Tokyo and it looked normal. People on trains, people in restaurants, people in theaters, people walking around the streets. Now, it's going to be empty. It already is empty. The cameras have already revealed that. I think this is a shame. I think this was a chance to show that there was a different way to respond to this, that it didn't take a total economic self-immolation in order to respond. People could wear masks, keep their hands clean, sanitize surfaces, practice social distancing, and it was a good way to get through it. Instead, Japan played copycat and followed into the hysteria of others, and now we're going to see the case counts go up as the testing goes up too. I wish very much that politicians would lead more than follow, but they don't. And now that this is such a globally connected world on social media and the hair on fire feeds reach into every corner, leaders have trouble saying to people the tough medicine they need to hear sometimes, which is, I know you think we should do something, but what we are doing, which was a rational decision, is working. So you need to calm down, protect yourself, and carry on. That's not what happened. We got the National Declaration of Emergency, and here we go. Watch the case counts rise through the roof in Japan as well. Thank you again for your concern for me. I assure you that I am fine so far, and right outside these office doors, Japan is fine as well, and even in Tokyo, where people are now sheltering at home, they're doing fine. Thank you again.